Hello, and welcome back to the Greatfully You podcast. I'm your host, Tasha Simon, and I am so happy you're here. Now, it's been a few weeks since our first debut of Greatfully You, and I have to just share with you guys how grateful I am for you listeners that have tapped in and shared your feedback. I feel incredibly loved and encouraged to continue to move forward with this podcast. It's a passion project, and it just feels amazing to allow for my spirit to just show up and shine and to share messages that I've learned along the way and to bring folks in that I absolutely adore to share their journey too. So if you hadn't had a chance to listen in, go back and check out our welcome episode where we talk about the Greatfully You mission, our purpose for this season, and really how we're going to show up. And then in our second episode, we talked about how to transcend ambiguity. I shared a lot of my personal journey of what I'm going through currently. And today we're expanding on ambiguity and taking a deeper dive into the essence of abundance and how we can harness our personal power to not just encounter, but consistently nurture abundance in our lives. So we're going to be exploring how to keep this perspective strong, even when times get tough. You know, that unknown, navigating through that can be quite the journey. And oftentimes our faith, our mission, our goals can sometimes waver a bit. And it's important to be able to stand true to who we are and what we aim to do in this world. Now, before I get into the nitty-gritty, I want to talk about, how abundance shows up in our lives and what it actually is. So to some, abundance can be seen as just material wealth. And I think that's a very limited perspective. Now, is it important? You bet it is. We do need financial wealth to be able to really create an impact on our world. And money is flowy. It can flow to you. We can create with it. There's so much that we can do with it. But that's not all that abundance is. Now, so true abundance isn't just material wealth. It's not just the number in your bank account. It's not the cash in your pocket. It's so much more than that. True abundance is the experiences we feel within that material experience, right? And some. So it's the laughter that you feel in your home in the presence of your loved ones. It's the peace that comes with that moment of silence that you really, really need. It's the love that's shared in a glance with your spouse or your children, or maybe even your bestie when you catch a look on her face and bust out laughing. It's those opportunities that knock when we least expect them. That is abundance. It's that profound presence of joy, of love, of peace, and all the beautiful opportunities in our lives. But see, understanding abundance and truly living abundantly requires shifting our view of the world from scarcity or lack to potential. Realizing that there's so much available to us at all times. It's up to us to receive it. We have to allow abundance to flow with us, to us, through us. We have to embody it. And so there's two little paradigms that I like to consider because, in order to be able to receive abundance in its highest vibration, in its highest realm, we have to really understand who we are, what we want in this life, and to really call in forward what it is that we desire, right? I think about scripture, to call those things that be not as though they were into our existence, right? That's a very prominent scripture that I often think about, that is abundance, right? But oftentimes what we think about, what we allow to fester in our mind, we then can create that in our existence. So, something to consider: if you're fixated on a problem, are you creating more of that problem in your life? More drama with your friends, more lack with finances? It's what we apply our attention to that we create in our very existence. So when I think about transformation or ambiguity in our lives, when we're kind of working through the murky waters, it's so important to be mindful where we apply our attention and our intention. And so one of the things that I have done in my experiences over the last several years has been I like to get clear on what it is that I desire. So I will take moments to just sit with myself and reassess where I am. So getting true to what the situation is. No judgment, it's just factual. This is what is going on. And so as I shared in the second episode, I talked about leaving my company after 11 years. So that's the facts right now. I am transitioning, and I've been transitioning for the last 5 months. And obviously, when you go through that transition, our minds like to play with us sometimes. Some moments I'm living the dream. I'm like, ooh, this is the best thing ever. I'm in a place that I can create. Ooh, I just love this. And then there's the other moments where I have a thought about, I have 2 kids. I have mouths to feed. I have so much to do to align. And so fear tries to set in. And really, it's up to me on whether or not I want to have an abundance of fear or have an abundance of creativity or an abundance of joy. Like, what is it that I want? And so it has required developing mental strength to be able to honor whatever emotion that I feel in the moment, but not getting stuck in it, right? So going back to what my purpose is. Who am I? What is it that I want? And does that fear thought deliver or support my mission? And most times, all times, it's a pretty solid no. And so it's those personal journals that have helped support me to even identify that those processes or thought processes don't align. And really, it's that personal power that has been that beacon of light that has guided me, right? It's the relationship that I have with my highest self, with God, with Source, to really keep me in tune with, okay, what is it that I'm here to accomplish? What sparks my joy? What creates what's fun? Really, what's fun for me? That's the kind of existence I want to have. I want to have fun in this life. And in order to do that, I have to be able to be authentic to self and have clarity of purpose. That alignment empowers us to make decisions with conviction. Even when the future isn't clear or feels bleak, setting those boundaries that protect our energy and enhances our well-being. So how I shared I wanted to have fun in this life and just wanted to just sit in the goodness of it all. Well, like I said, through the ebbs and flows, there's those high moments and low moments. And I had expressed that within this last 5 months that I wanted to take a vacation. And I had like this deep desire for it. Usually around my birthday, I take a solo trip. And that trip is really designed to really feed my soul. And because of the transitions that I've been going through with leaving corporate, I felt guilty even having that desire to want to go. But that time in my life is usually designed to be forward thinking. It's to acknowledge what the previous year has been for me and just redefine my next steps and how I want to show up in the world. And so it's been a tradition for me to really just go and just be me and be present in my own energy. And that desire, I started speaking out loud. Like, I think I told my husband or someone else that I was like, man, I really want to go to Vegas. I've just My favorite hotel is the Venetian, and I love their spa there. I just really could use that right now. Well, I made that declaration out loud, and literally a couple weeks later, I randomly saw an email come in from the Venetian with comp rooms. My heart fluttered when I saw that. I was like, oh, I can go for 2 nights? Oh my God. I was so excited. And then I was like, but that's so selfish though. If you're going to go, you're going to spend money, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. How are you going to get there? And so I was like, but this is such a gift to me. How do I make this happen? And so I looked on my Southwest account and I was like, okay, well, let's see how much flights are. I had points. I didn't even know I had points, but I had points available. So my flight was free. So that's free room, free flight, free experience, right? Girl math. All I had to do was pay for that spa and food, of course. And it was like, okay, well, I asked for this. It's up to me to choose whether or not I want to receive it. And when I made the decision that I wanted to go, I talked it over to my husband. I'm like, yeah, you need to go. You need this time. I'm like, exactly. I'm glad that you agree. And so I was really ramped up. I booked everything. And then literally a week or two before I was scheduled to go, my garage door broke. And for those who may wonder, those are quite pricey. And so I was immediately like, okay, I probably shouldn't go. I'm going to spend this money. We need to put this into the house, blah, blah. You know how your thoughts go through the rationale of like, why, right? Why shouldn't I do this because of this, and this? Again, the trip was free. It was a gift to me. And I was trying to find a reason to not go. What? That's insane. And so I literally contemplated that for a couple days, and it was my choice to choose to go or not go. My husband was down for it. He's like, yeah, you should go still. Definitely go. You need this time. And I allowed myself to enjoy the blessing. And that's one of the key things that I'm often looking for is those opportunities. There's opportunities everywhere. It just depends on where our eyes are able to see them. And then is our heart willing to receive it in the way that we need it at that moment? And so I took the trip. I had an awesome time. My cup felt full. And it was just an amazing experience. And I am looking forward to my next one next year, right? So use that as an example. Where in your life are you seeing opportunities present themselves and you have talked yourself out of it? Where you've not allowed yourself to receive joy in your life that was gifted to you? Where can you express your true heart's desire for something out loud? Call it out. Call out the intention of what it is that you want, and then allow God or the universe to show up and say, hey, here it is, boo. It's time. So I really want to challenge you to think about what it is that your heart wants. Because even in the ebbs and flows, you're still worthy of great things. You are worthy of experiencing joy. It's in the vibration of joy that we create and attract amazing opportunities to us. It's in our joy that we are able to develop new ideas and be creative, right? I just think it's so important to lean into the opportunities and let the breadcrumbs guide your way, right? But it's in those moments that we are able to really lean on faith and lean on our true core essence of who we are, right? Where we are able to take the time and actually have fun, even in the midst of it feeling like your world's crumbling, balancing between the two. When I get so overwhelmed, I take a break, a mental break. I'll go for a walk. I go call a friend. I'll go paint. I'll do something that's going to allow for freedom of mind to explore, because that's where creation flows, right? So that's just some examples of what I've done, but I do want to share another key core element of what I have used to navigate um, transformation or ambiguity, and how that has led to really leaning on my personal power to expand upon and create abundance. And so, one of those examples was back in 2020. Whew, what a time that was. I was in a role that required me to travel a lot within marketing. And I loved that job. It was awesome. But as you know, 2020 was the pandemic. No one's really out in the field like that. And that put me in a slightly bit of a bind because my organization was restructured, and they gave me 15 days to find a job within a company or I would be let go from the business. 15 days. I had two small kids. There's a pandemic. Talk about panic. I that very night that I went in to talk to my husband, I shared with him the news. I had reflected on an old journal that I found from when I first joined the firm, where I was really meeting with VPs regularly because they were doing a college hire training program. And there was a quote in that book that really resonated with me. It said, "Sometimes you have to step back in order to go forward." And I had this sensation in my chest that was like, what does that mean? I knew that I needed that in that moment, but I didn't know how that would apply to that situation. I had 15 days to make a move to ensure that my family had resources. Now, I'm going to take a moment to step back, not because of the quote, but just kind of give you a frame of reference. So earlier in the year, I usually write out a list of things that I desire for my world, right? How I want to show up in the world, how I want to feel in my experience, what my family dynamics look like, friendships, business, etc. I write it out in detail and specifically how I want to feel. It's my manifestation. I call it a worksheet that I do yearly. I specifically stated on that worksheet that I wanted to see an increase in pay. And I wanted to enjoy the work that I'm doing and be with a team that really was inspired and creative and had a lot of fun. So keep that mental note. So fast forward to the 15-day mark, and I'm like, okay, that quote was just every single day I kept thinking about that. Step back to move forward. Why did I see that? Well, I ended up stepping out on inspired action. I was guided to reach out to all the VPs that I had worked for or worked with throughout my career. And I just shared with them because they had a voice that could incite change in my mind, right? I used to be nervous to talk to them, but here I don't even know if they remember me. I'm writing an email thanking them for the experience and expressing that I'm about to leave the business. It was because of that courage to follow that inspired action that an opportunity presented itself. I had several interviews, but it wasn't until the very last day that I received an offer saying that I was staying. 15 days. So there's a couple things that you could look at here. There was an intention made. I panicked a little bit, yes, but I didn't sit in it. I reached back to my abundance of resources, of relationships for support. I was vulnerable. I then took inspired action to just continue to share my story. And then I waited for an opportunity to present itself, right? I was actively moving, but my spirit was waiting for an opportunity to present itself so I can receive it. And that opportunity created moves within my career that helped round out my portfolio of experience. And 8 months later, I got that raise that I was asking for, that I set the intent in the beginning of the year that I wanted. That is abundance. That is trusting the process and knowing that the universe cares for us. God cares for us and that we are provided for, even in the most bleakest moments, and we don't know how. We do our parts to show up. We do our parts to be in a state of receiving. We do our parts by showing up abundantly and vulnerably to share what we're doing. It's okay to feel deeply. It's okay to accept the circumstances as they are, but not sit in that. It's a matter of surrendering and trusting that it will work out. It's in this space where we can begin to see challenges not just as barriers, but as stepping stones that lead us to greater abundance. I personally experienced that. And so when I'm experiencing these thoughts that kind of ebb and flow, the last 5 months has been like highs and lows. One day I'm great. The next day I'm like pressed, like what am I going to do? And I'm like, I always come back to center. And center is my soul is at peace. My soul is abundantly at peace. My kids are provided for. I think about gratitude and how that is my true abundance. I lean in and focus on the things that I have present in my life. And because of that, I'm raising my frequency to a state to receive my highest blessings that's for me in this experience. So I want to challenge you to think about where in your life can you allow abundance to show up for you? Are there challenges that you've been facing that you have been rejecting, or have you leaned in and seen it as an opportunity for growth? Are there inspired actions that you can take today to help you focus more on the abundance piece? Are there people in your life that you can reach out to and share with discernment of what's going on in your experience? We have to be open, to be vulnerable, and say yes to the help and the plenty that life offers. There's so much there. We just have to be willing to receive the abundance. So as you're pondering these questions or thinking about your experience of and how this can apply to you, I would love if you would send me a note and share how you are taking steps forward today to create more abundance in your life. You can send me a note on any of my socials or email me. Take a note in the description of the podcast. I can't wait to see your shares. So I want to thank you guys for joining us today. I want to encourage you in everything that you're doing to seek and embody abundance. Be great, be full, and be abundantly you. Until next time, be blessed. Thank you for joining the Greatfully You podcast. To stay connected with the Greatfully You family, like and subscribe so you never miss an episode. And even better, invite someone that you love and that you think is great to listen in with you. And if you ever need a reminder of how great you are, make sure to grab some memorabilia from the Greatfully You website at greatfullyu.com. Until next time, friends, be great and take care.